All right, sales leaders and executives, let's start this deep dive with a paradox. You've assembled a great team. Your product, your service, it's strong. The market is definitely there. And yet your growth feels, well, sluggish, maybe even capped. You're hitting an invisible ceiling, and you have the suspicion that the barrier isn't your competitors, it's not the economy, it's something internal.
It's the question that really defines whether a business remains, a successful but high-effort lifestyle venture, or if it transforms into a scalable, repeatable powerhouse.
Right.
And what's fascinating here, the source material we are digging into today, excerpts from Win Nathan Davis and the Sales Experts, it gives a really immediate, direct, and maybe an uncomfortable answer to that question.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We're here to give you that shortcut, that crucial shortcut to understanding how to scale your sales operations and truly break that revenue ceiling. So let's just jump right into the core finding. What is that fundamental barrier to growth?
The authors, they state it with total clarity. The barrier to getting to that next level, it isn't necessarily funding, it's not the economy. And for businesses that are already successful, it's certainly not a lack of resources. The actual answer is an internalized limitation. They term it, quite simply, small business thinking.
Small business thinking, so it's a mentality.
A mentality, a set of habits, an organizational operating system that's really designed for survival, not for scale.
That is a powerful realization, and it immediately puts the responsibility right back on the executive team. So our mission today is to give you, the sales leaders, the executives listening, the actionable insights you need to make a fundamental psychological and strategic shift.
Precisely. We're going to unpack what that small business thinking actually looks like day to day. We'll talk about why detailed conviction-building planning isn't just busy work, but why it's so essential. And that the specific actions you have to take to position your company for a predictable, scalable revenue.
We're talking about achieving a success mindset.
Exactly. A mindset that makes true, repeatable growth feel inevitable, rather than just something you're hoping for.
Okay, so let's define the problem in segment 1, the mindset barrier. We're talking to leaders who genuinely want to grow. I mean, they might be working 80-hour weeks, they're hustling, they're motivated, but they just remain stuck. Walk us through why that inertia holds them back.
Well, it's an inertia that's rooted entirely in the executive mentality. These businesses are often held back because the leadership is still operating with the mental wiring of a startup owner. Their focus is on day-to-day survival, triage, constant firefighting. They're perpetually reacting to what's right in front of them. The cash flow hiccup, the surprise turnover, that urgent customer request.
Instead of designing the future.
Instead of dedicating protected time to proactively design the future of the organization. Yes.
And that kind of operational dynamic, it can be paralyzing, not just for the executive, but critically for the sales force.
Oh.
The sales team needs to be selling the scalable professional company they will be, but if the internal processes and the mentality are screaming scrappy startup, that gap creates doubt, internally and externally.
That's the key consequence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this brings us to the foundational concept that has to precede any growth strategy. Success starts with mindset. The source material argues that this success mindset is a prerequisite for growth, not a reward for it.
Tell us more about that. It sounds like a complete identity shift.
It is absolutely an identity shift, and the authors use a really compelling analogy to explain it. You don't win the lottery and then learn how to be rich.
Right.
You first have to acquire the operational habits, the psychological framework, the decision-making patterns of successful, wealthy people, and then success naturally follows because you are prepared to manage it.
I appreciate that analogy, but let me push back a little, because this is where the rubber meets the road for busy executives. It sounds a little bit like fake it till you make it. If you're a leader operating on thin cash flow, is it truly realistic to start acting like a company with 10 times your current revenue?
That's a critical and a fair question. It's not about spending money you don't have. It's about operational identity and commitment. Acting rich, in this context, it just means making strategic investments in systems and talent and removing yourself from the minutia.
Okay, give me an example.
For example, a company with a small business mindset might have the owner handling 90% of all high-value contract negotiations because they don't trust anyone else.
Right, the founder's trap.
Exactly. But a company with a success mindset, however, invests in developing a rigorous, documented negotiation playbook. And then they delegate that responsibility to a trained sales manager, even if the founder is still, hovering nearby. The process signals scale, even if the team is still lean.
So true growth requires executives to define exactly who they want the company to be, that professional scaled entity, and then start building the internal infrastructure of that company today.
You've got it.
And the market, the high-level talent you want to attract, they'll only catch up with that vision once you demonstrate that operational commitment.
You lead with your operational identity.
Yeah.
You start treating your sales pipeline like a standardized, measurable asset today, not something that just exists in the founder's head on a spreadsheet.
That sets the stage perfectly for the first really actionable insight in segment 2. And as a tactic, it sounds almost counterintuitive to the modern philosophy of move fast, stay lean. I'm talking about the power of extremely detailed planning.
This is the necessary bridge. It's what translates the abstract success mindset into tangible reality.
The source material, specifically Win Nathan Davis, he mentions taking clients through the exercise of writing a comprehensive business plan that is often 100 pages or more. I know the executive listening right now is thinking, I do not have time for that kind of paper pushing. So why? Why is that level of detail, a full 100 pages, so critical?
It's critical because the immense detail serves a psychological function. It's far beyond just securing a bank loan. Executives are smart, practical people. And their imagination, or maybe their subconscious, it often resists significant, scary change. That internal doubt, the fear of failure, the fear of losing control, the sheer improbability of scaling 10x, that is the final form of small business thinking.
So it's the resistance to change, the little voice saying, I can't possibly manage a team of 50 people. That's what the plan is designed to combat.
Exactly. To conquer that internal resistance, you need what the authors call overwhelming evidence that this transformation is possible.
Overwhelming evidence.
A short 5-page summary plan, maybe with financials and a nice mission statement.
Yeah.
It just lacks the intellectual conviction required to fundamentally rewire the executive mind. But when you force yourself and your team to detail 100 pages, detailing the Q1 hiring strategy, the specific CRM migration plan, the new product roadmap, the detailed process for training new managers,
The nuts and bolts.
all of it, the revised compensation structures, the projected vertical market entry, that level of comprehensive detail provides the internal conviction you need. It externalizes the vision. It makes the abstract future concrete. It forces your own imagination to believe the transformation is a fully mapped out reality.
So the plan isn't just a document for an external party, like a bank. It's a blueprint for conquering your own internal skepticism. It convinces the owner and then the market.
Precisely. And once you have that mindset and that conviction, you can transition into the formal execution strategy. The source material frames this so well. Mindset plus company development strategy, growth.
Let's discuss that strategy piece, because this is where market positioning can change almost overnight. What does the company development strategy involve beyond just thinking big?
This is all about operational visibility and execution. The authors quote the marketing strategist Dan Kennedy, saying, your positioning becomes your position.
I like that. Your positioning becomes your position.
If you act small, you are small. If you strategically position yourself as a scalable, next-level organization, that is what you instantly become in the eyes of prospects, investors, and high-level talent.
So what are the tangible components of this strategy? What do executives need to implement today? Give us those concrete examples.
Okay, the company development strategy translates that new scale mindset into really 3 major components. First, redefining your business identity. You have to move from being a generalist service provider to being a specialized, high-value solution architect for a defined vertical.
And that's not just a logo change.
Not at all. It dictates who you hire, how you price, and the specific problems you solve.
Which means your sales pitch moves from, say, we offer X product to we solve Y systemic problem for Z industry. That immediately elevates the conversation.
Exactly. The second component is building professional sales materials and systems. You can't tell your sales team to go win large enterprise accounts if they're presenting with materials that look like they were designed in a home office 6 years ago.
Yep.
Your proposals, your case studies, your corporate decks must look like they belong to a company doing 10 times your current revenue. They have to be focused on demonstrable ROI and structured problem solving, not just features.
Okay, so identity materials. What's the third part?
And the third component, which is critical for sales leaders, is developing systems that genuinely support growth. Small business thinking relies heavily on individual heroism.
The one-star seller.
The one-star filler, the one founder who holds all the process knowledge in their head. Scalable growth requires moving off informal processes and into documented, repeatable systems.
So think moving forecasting out of individual spreadsheets and into a rigorous, centralized, and accountable CRM
That's
process.
a perfect example. It signals organizational maturity and predictability.
That is so tangible. And it explains why even highly talented salespeople can struggle when the company's own infrastructure is undermining their efforts. The tools have to match the ambition.
And the processes have to match the ambition. If your current customer onboarding process requires the founder to sign off on every single detail, that's small business thinking.
Right.
A scale strategy designs a tiered, delegated onboarding process that can handle 10 new clients at the same time.
Okay, we've covered the psychological barrier and the strategic blueprint. That brings us to our final segment. Distilling this into the immediate actionable takeaways for sales leaders and executives. These are the actual behaviors they need to start tomorrow. The source material outlines 5 steps. Let's focus on the 2 most impactful directives.
Okay. The first directive is the hardest habit to break, especially for successful founders and executives. Lift your head.
Stop working in the business, work on the business. We've been talking about this necessary delegation.
It is the absolute core requirement for making this transition. If you, as a leader, are spending your Tuesday afternoon personally dealing with a minor invoicing error that should be handled by an administrator,
Or reviewing every expense report.
or reviewing every expense report, you cannot focus on defining the vision, setting the high-level positioning, and designing the scalable systems.
But the reality is, especially for founders, letting go of those control tasks, that firefighting can be emotionally difficult because those tasks are what kept the business alive early on. They feel productive even when they're not strategic.
That's the exact trap of small business thinking. You have to create the space required to write that 100-page plan and build the scalable systems. The executive's job is designing the machine, not running every component of it.
So delegate or automate the daily tasks.
You have to. If you are not spending protected time defining the strategy for the next 18 months, you are still operating in survival mode.
That's insight too. You have to step back, delegate, and create space to move forward. What's the final combined directive for long-term growth? What's the execution mandate?
The mandate is to act like the future. This combines the remaining key steps into one unified strategy. You have to define your vision, decide exactly who you want to be in terms of scale and market position. Then, you develop a company growth strategy that redesigns processes, identity, and systems to support that true scale.
And the mindset underlies all of it.
But the critical underlying current for all of it is adopting that success mindset. Thinking and acting like the business you want to become, not the one you feel trapped in today. For a sales leader, this means setting up the CRM forecasting not for today's reality, but for a world where you have 4 times the current pipeline.
So it's an identity shift, and then it's followed by a comprehensive preemptive system redesign. You change the wiring and upgrade the organizational capacity before the massive revenue surge hits.
Yes, so the organization can handle the next level power without collapsing.
That makes perfect sense.
That's precisely right. If the processes and materials you use today can't seamlessly handle double or triple the volume, if they rely on individual heroes or informal approvals, you are signaling to yourself and to the market that you don't actually believe in that potential growth.
Scale requires predictability.
And predictability is built through these preemptive systems.
This has been a deeply focused dive on the single biggest obstacle that founders and executives face when they're trying to scale their sales operations.
And the central takeaway is clear. Businesses stay small, not because of external forces like the economy or competition, but because of small business thinking.
So growth begins the moment executives decide to fundamentally shift that mindset.
That's the moment. You commit to detailed, conviction-building planning like creating that 100-page operational blueprint, and you implement a robust, scalable company development strategy.
It's about creating the operational reality internally before the external world validates it with massive revenue. It requires a profound act of faith in your own strategy.
Absolutely. The final provocation the source gives is powerful, and it places the power entirely in the executive's hands. Don't wait for the economy to turn or for luck to strike. The choice to scale is immediate. Decide who you want to be, then be that. The moment you operationalize that belief and show it through strategic action and professional positioning, the market starts believing it too.
That is a phenomenal executive-level mandate to end on for any leader grappling with that invisible ceiling. If you want to dive deeper into these strategies for achieving massive, scalable sales success and access more insights on breaking free from small business thinking, you can explore the concepts and material we discussed today further by visiting thesalesexperts.com. Start acting like the company you want to be today.
We encourage you to take that first strategic step.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.